Perek Dalad Mishnah Beis. Now that he has designated which of the two Se'irim is Lashem and which is La'azazel, he then has to make a mark so that the animals don't get confused. So the Mishnah says, Kasha Lashon Shazahiris, he ties a strip of red wool, B'roish So'eh HaMishtaleach, on the head of the So'eh of the goat, which is going to be sent out, i.e. La'azazel. And he means between the horns of that animal. And he stands it facing its destination, which means that towards the Mizrach, towards the eastern gate, the Shar HaMizrach. And for the other animal, the soy, which is going to be Lashem, which is going to be shechted, that is Keneged Beish Chitose. He takes the red wool and he ties that around the neck of the animal. And the Bartanura explains that we need to tie the So'el HaZozel's ribbon around its horns and the So'el Hashem's ribbons around its neck, so that we don't confuse the two Se'irim. That if they break loose or they sort of run away, we'll be able to determine which one was the So'el Hashem and which one was the So'el HaZozel. And furthermore, we will be able to differentiate them between all other animals in the Beis HaMikdash. After all, they had Se'irim for the Musafim, for the Musaf Karbonos. So therefore, we know that the ones which have this red crimson thread will be either the So'el Hashem and Azazel, and the ones which don't are not. And plus, we'll be able to differentiate between the two themselves. The So'el Azazel has it around its horns, and the So'el Hashem around its neck. Furthermore, why dafka a red thread, a red ribbon around its either horns or neck? So that's based on the pasuk in Yeshaya. The pasuk in Yeshaya, Perek Aleph Yud Ches, says, "Im yu chatoechem kashonim kasheleg yalbinu im yadimu katolek katzemeyiyu," which means that if the averas of Klal Yisrael are as red, as crimson, as a thread, that should be turned as white as snow. So that's a reference to that pasuk, that the averas are turning from this red to the white color. And indeed, the Gemara tells us in Lametes Amud Aleph, again during the time of the Kohen Gadol of Shimon HaTzadik, it always turned, that ribbon always turns from a red color miraculously to a white color. And sort of as a fulfillment, if you like, of this pasuk in Yeshaya. After the time of Shimon HaTzadik, sometimes it changed, sometimes it didn't change. But either way, they used to tie this red thread around the animals. Continues the Mishnah. He then comes back to the par that we mentioned in the end of Perek Gimel. Perek Gimel Mishnah Ches, we were told that he takes his par and he did smicha on it and he did vidui on it. And now he's coming back to this par, having chosen the Shnei Se'irim and dealt with that. He then goes back to his par and does a vidui again. And the reason is simply because that's what the Gzeres HaKosov is. The pasuk says in Vayikra Tes Zayin pasuk Vav, V'chiper ba'adoy v'ad beisoy. And then the pasuk continues and talks about the Shnei Se'irim, and then it says it again in pasuk Yud Aleph, V'chiper ba'adoy v'ad beisoy. So the drasha is that the first time he does the vidui, he does confession on his own personal sins and that of his wife and his family. And then later, the second vidui is a broader one. It's his own sins plus that of Beis Aaron, all the Kohanim, all his fellow Kohanim. And that's the Gzeres HaKosov, if you like, in Perek Tes Zayin. So the Mishnah continues. So Boletz al Parashniya v'Somech Shtei Yodav. Again, he does smicha. He leans down with all his force on the shoulders of this animal. V'Misvade, and he confesses. V'Kach Hoyoyme, and this is what he says: Ono Hashem, I beg of you, Hashem, Ovisi Poshati Chotosi Lefonecha. And again, as we described previously, this order of Poshati Chotosi, Ovisi Poshati Chotosi, goes according to Rav Meir. However, the Chachomim would change the order. The Chachomim changed the order to Chotosi Ovisi Poshati, like we described previously. We explained why there's a machlokas in Perek Gimel Mishnah Ches. And he continues, Ani Uvesi Bnei Aaron. Here he mentions the Bnei Aaron. Me, my household, and all the Kohanim, all the Bnei Aaron, Am Kadoshecha, your holy people. Ono Hashem, I beg of you, Hashem, Kaper no, please forgive la'avonos v'la'pshoim v'la'chatoim, the avonos of the wicked, mazid zedonos, pshoim, the rebellious acts, and the chatoim are just the averas which are done b'shogeg. She'ovisi v'she'pashati v'she'chatosi lefanecho. Ani uvesi ubnei Aaron am kedoshecho. both me, my household, and the whole of Bnei Aaron, all the Kohanim, Am Kodeshecha, Kakosov, Batoras, Moshe Avdecha, as it is written in the Torah of Moshe, your servant, Ki bayoim hazeh yechape aleichem letaha eschem, mikol chatosechem lifnei Hashem titor. So he says that pasuk from Vayikra Tezayin, pasuk Lamed. V'heinoin nachro Baruch Shem kavoid malchusa le'olam void. And again, they use the refrain of Baruch Shem after he says the Shem Hashem. That is the end of Mishnah Beis.